to be aware. And right now, in the times we live in, we all need to be aware of many, many different things. But of course, each person is their own. But for me, you know, I'm at the point right now where I'm really trying to keep my mind like aware that we all brothers and sisters. And you know, whether you live in New York, where I'm from, or in Iceland or Japan or Switzerland, where we are now, you know, none of these so-called world leaders are really trying to really do something about that, you know. And I think in terms of changing the world, in terms of making our future brighter, in terms of connecting man to man, without this type of speech, you know, spoken by our world leaders, it keeps the people in the darkness. That little babies starting school in kindergarten, these are one of the first things they need to be educated about, that, you know, the human race is one race. As a human race, there are many different tribes within the human race. However, we all come from the same seed. We all come from the population did not start with all the tribes of man that we see. They started from one tribe. No matter which tribe it was, where it was at, we all share a certain brother and sisterhood within our DNA. So the fact that these so-called world leaders like Obama and whoever's here, and I don't pay too much attention to politics, but as far as all the world leaders go, I think that if they would start to promote, you know, this known fact, you know, by all the scientists, the biggest, hugest scientists, most educated scientists in the world, none of them can debate this. So why isn't this something that's in our school books from the earliest years of entering into organized education? And with this little fact being left out of our upbringing, we cannot go to another land and see the people there as our brothers and sisters, because we haven't been taught that. So this is something that I'm keeping my mind focused on and that I'm wishing to talk to people about. So when I do go to Egypt or Russia or wherever, and the people who know me, they will view me as somebody who wishes to share a sense of brotherhood with all people, all men, all women. And until these world leaders start really promoting this to the people and start rewriting it into the school's educational system, we won't see it. So it's up to us to connect those dots, and you know, the Swiss with the French, and the French with the Russian, and there's so many different tribes and countries in Africa with even themselves. You know what I mean? Even in America, people see themselves as Americans first, but not as brothers and sisters, where this is total backwards way of bringing the world together. So that's what's up with Afu-Ra. And if I think if we could start to teach the children coming up now, in the next 50 years, they'll be 50 knowing that, hey, I'm brothers and sisters with every nation in the world. So the world will truly be ours, you know what I mean? And that's what's up.
All you ever hear about in this country is our differences. That's all the media and the politicians are ever talking about, the things that separate us, things that make us different from one another. That's the way the ruling class operates in any society. They try to divide the rest of the people. They keep the lower and the middle classes fighting with each other so that they, the rich, can run off with all the fucking money. Fairly simple thing, happens to work. You know anything different, that's what they're going to talk about. Race, religion, ethnic and national background, jobs, income, education, social status, sexuality, anything you can do, keep us fighting with each other so that they can keep going to the bank.
But there's a reason. There's a reason. There's a reason for this. There's a reason education sucks, and it's the same reason that it will never, ever, ever be fixed. It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The big, the wealthy, the real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. They're irrelevant. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. They've long since bought and paid for the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls. They got the judges in their back pockets, and they own all the big all the big media companies. So they control just about all of the news and information you get to hear. They got you by the balls. They spend billions of dollars every year lobbying to get what they want. Well, we know what they want. They want more for themselves and less for everybody else. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. They're not interested in that. That doesn't help them. That's against their interest. That's right. You know something? They don't want people who are smart enough to sit around the kitchen table and figure out how badly they're getting fucked by a system that threw them overboard 30 fucking years ago. They don't want that. You know what they want? They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork and just dumb enough to passively accept all these increasingly shittier jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money. They want your fucking retirement money. They want it back, so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. And you know something? They'll get it. They'll get it all from you sooner or later, because they own this fucking place. It's a big club, and you ain't in it. You and I are not in the big club. And by the way, it's the same big club they used to beat you over the head with all day long when they tell you what to believe. All day long, beating you over the head in their media, telling you what to believe, what to think, and what to buy. The table is tilted, folks. The game is rigged. And nobody seems to notice. Nobody seems to care. Good, honest, hard-working people, white collar, blue collar, doesn't matter what color shirt you have on. Good, honest, hard-working people continue. These are people of modest means. Continue to elect these rich cocksuckers who don't give a fuck about them. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't care about you at all. At all. At all.
Well, I mean, when you hear the New World Order, that's coming from people who are talking about really the world being as one, but not in the sense of brotherhood, in the sense of connecting everybody to really be truly manipulated by the nations that run our local districts, to our cities, to our states, to our countries. The New World Order is about a global force to basically keep people in the darkness so that the world can be run and capitalistic ventures, capitalist societies can truly do their mission without people questioning so much what's going on in society. Basically, the New World Order is about truly keeping the population like sheep, you know, by feeding us with all the entertainment, feeding us with whatever byproducts in our food that shuts off certain brain activity.
Is where you think you're free when you're being fundamentally manipulated and dictated to. One form of dictatorship is being in a prison cell and you can see the bars and touch it. The other one is sitting in a prison cell but you can't see the bar, you think you're free.
What the human race is suffering from is mass hypnosis. We are being hypnotized by people like this. Newsreaders, politicians, teachers, lecturers.
We are in a country and in a world that is being run by unbelievably sick people. The chasm between what we're told is going on and what is really going on is absolutely enormous.
The greatest hypnotist on planet Earth is a oblong box in the corner of the room. It is constantly telling us what to believe is real.
Historically, the control and manipulation of political opinion has been the Freemasons' main weapon in gaining control of countries and states. Once in control of the rulers and politicians of a country, laws and political structures could be changed in accordance with their agenda. However, since restricting the body does not necessarily mean restricting the mind, the Freemason recognizes that their plan for a global government hinges completely on subduing the masses to their agenda, and thus eliminating opposition to their cause. And the greatest threat to their plan, posing more danger than any army or law, is the threat of a free-thinking mind. In order to eliminate this threat and to achieve their objective, the Masons have set about the boldest plan ever devised: the complete control of every aspect of human life, your life. And the weapons they are using against you are in your very homes, entertaining you and your children, and gradually indoctrinating you without you even realizing.
About why certain movies aren't allowed to be played here in Switzerland, but they can be played. The New World Order is regulate every nation's economy, or not necessarily the economy, but the inflation rates and how it's taxed. The New World Order is in control and seeing to it so that the future plays out where all nations will be keeping the people in darkness about the world is in total chaos and is in a state of destruction, and our minds together as people.
What's going to happen in London at this G20, and then they're hiding it, they're camouflaging it, they're not talking about it. Coordination of international regulation. What they are going to do is to put our Fed and our SEC under the control, in effect, of the IMF.
Oh, come on. You believe they'll do this?
That's what was in the draft agenda. They call it coordination of regulation. What it really is putting the American economy under international regulation. Yeah. And those people who have been yelling, oh, the UN's going to take over global
conspiracy
government.
Theorists.
They've been crazy, but now they're right.
Yeah, well, when Geist
The New World Order is about keeping us busy with everything in life except taking care of ourselves, whether it's eating the type of food that keep you electric, They don't teach people that by eating live foods like fruits and vegetables, you constantly putting electricity in your body, These are different things that they do what they have to do to keep people satisfied so that they don't want to stand up and change the world to a more I don't want to say peaceful, but we could say peaceful, but just so that people can be at peace with themselves. I was talking to some guys and my girlfriend a couple of weeks ago. We in Italy, and it's like ever since the early 1900s with the first real industrial revolution, at least within America, as other nations adopted similar practices, industrializing the nation, producing more and more. Technology sent itself into just a rapid pace of technology. It's just over-technologized. How could I say that? Technology just advanced so much that people are behind themselves with what they doing. So with all of that, it's like we created so much technology that we thought to help ourselves, but right now young people 13, 14, 15, they're being taught do all these different things, go to school, get a good job, take care of your money, do everything so that you don't end up in a jam. And our whole life is to be lived to not be in a jam. And it's like, what kind of life is that? And it's like people viewed people living in huts and living off the land with no clothes. We viewed them as uncivilized, when what we have now is not civilization. it's a technological world. You know, it is an intelligent world, but it's not wise.
My fellow Americans, this evening I come to you with a message of leave-taking and farewell, and to share a few final thoughts with you, my countrymen. We have been compelled to create a permanent armaments industry of vast proportions. 3.5 million men and women are directly engaged in the defense establishment. The total influence, economic, political, even spiritual, is felt in every city, every state house, every office of the federal government. We recognize the imperative need for this development, yet we must not fail to comprehend its grave implications. In the councils of government, we must guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex. The potential for the disastrous rise of misplaced power exists and will persist.
You have to realize this is one of the great presidents, great military leaders. On his way out the door, at the end of his second term, he says, by the way, watch out for the military-industrial complex.
People know that he invented the phrase military-industrial complex, but very rarely do you see the whole thing and realize how utterly strident his warning was. I think it's one of the most profound statements ever made by an American president.
Just like George Washington gave his warnings about foreign entanglements and things like that, my dad was giving his warning against letting this military-industrial complex get out of hand.
We must never let the weight of this combination endanger our liberties or democratic processes.
So a lot of times people, you know, have to really question, like, you know, what's going on in the world and what is this world we live in the new world order. They have a job to do with keeping all these nations, the powerful nations, Europe, America, Canada, Africa, every huge nation in the world, you know, they have a job to see that the nation stays on top in the world financial scene, so that their country is able to feed everybody, or to have hospitals and have the infrastructure to have the running waters and everything. And the New World Order is a secret society within our society that makes rules, makes laws, and keeps the population like sheep, so that everything can continue to function business as usual, you know? Yeah, it's a deep topic, the New World Order. There's so many different parts and elements about the world that every part of it, when you think about what's industrialized, what has been industrialized in the world, the New World Order is running that. And sometimes, as people, all the thing we can do is to we want to truly be in control of our life. You know, we don't have to always question, we don't have to always take society or take someone's word for everything. We need to find our way to have our own peace. Whether it's play a part in what's going on in the nation, the New Order, people have to have jobs, people have to have a sense of income, people have to have a way to live. So the world has been created where unless you're gonna move to the jungle and live off fruits and berries, you know, then you're gonna, what you do play a part in what the New World Order is doing. But as long as you have an open mind to not being kept in the darkness about things, then we will learn to re-educate ourselves out of the education of the New World Order. And that's the only thing we can do, you know, start to talk to people about brother and sisterhood, and in the end, if we don't come together and don't join an allegiance, you know, person to person, man to man, then our societies can't truly, you know, rule us, you know. We can rule outside.
All the conspiracy theories about Freemasons, this much is true. They can still be found at the highest levels of American government. From the Capitol to the White House.
You both were members of Skull and Bones, a secret society at Yale. What does that tell us? Not much, because it's a secret. We're both in Skull and Bones, the secret society. It's so secret we can't talk about it. What does that mean for America?
A shadowy government with its own Air Force, its own Navy, its own fundraising mechanism, and the ability to pursue its own ideas of the national interest, free from all checks and balances, and free from the law itself.
About the biggest restructuring we have ever seen, not just of the global economy, but of the global order as a whole, of the New World Order.
New World Order, UN's founder. New World Order.
I'll make our government open and transparent so that anyone can ensure that our business is the people's business. Justice Louis Brandeis once said, "Sunlight is the greatest disinfectant." And as president, I'm going to make it impossible for congressmen or lobbyists to slip pork barrel projects or corporate welfare into laws when no one's looking, because when I'm president, meetings where laws are written will be more open to the public, no more secrecy. That's a commitment I make to you as president. No more secrecy.
It's your boy Afu-Ra. Thanks everybody out there. It's been a pleasure right here. That's right. Keep watching right here. Afu-Ra style. Watch out.
Yeah. New visions right here. That's right. I go by the name of Body of the Life Force. Check this out. I like to do these things right here like, I keep it going and going and going. Yo, I'm straight rocking it, hit the block with it, chest boxing it. If I can't shoot it, I ox it. And I'm reppin' from Brooklyn, jewels in my pocket. Broke right out of my cage, I'm gonna rock it. You relax, high steelers, chill, yo, I got this. I bust a move 1-2, shell shocking it. Put words together, make me spackle it, tackle it. I'm well endowed, and my flow's quite accurate. I pull rabbits out my hat on some magic-ish. Presto change, yo, I do my thing, yo.